This is one of the coolest ways that you can advertise on Facebook, and it is by creating custom audiences to advertise to your database. Now, before you start thinking that that means you're going to be bugging your database with ads, and ads kind of have this negative connotation associated with it. When I say ads, I almost always mean some sort of value add, something that you're giving away, a piece of content like a video or a blog post. It tends to be something that you would have otherwise posted to your page, but because the Facebook algorithm doesn't really allow them to see much that you post these days, you can create an ad which just makes sure that those people are seeing your post. So let's talk about how to do that. Number one, you are going to need to export your contact list from your CRM or your spreadsheet. Now, if you are using a CRM like Contactually, Exact, and Top Producer, something like that, you can export all of your contacts into an Excel file. I can't show you exactly what that looks like because everyone is going to be a little different, but you should be able to find that within the settings or within the contacts file itself. So you'll export that. If given an option, you want to make sure you're downloading it as a .csv file. That's .csv, comma, separated values. If you don't have a CRM, maybe you're just using your contacts and a spreadsheet, I will show you what that looks like right now. So here is my example. You see at the top, I've got these file, first name, last name, phone number, and email address, and then a bunch of fake information because I am just showing this to you. So you are going to go to File, Save As, and then save this as a .csv file. I've already saved this one as a CSV file, so it's showing up there by default, but normally it would just show up as this Excel file. So you want to scroll on down to Specialty Formats, and then this first .csv. Save that to somewhere. I've already done this, so I'll just replace it. Click Continue, and let's exit out of that. We did that. Now let's import this. So this is the audiences section of Facebook ads. Now before we move forward, I will show you real quick how I got here. You head over to your personal Facebook account. Click on this little down arrow. Navigate over to Manage Ads. Note that if you have never run an ad before, you won't have a Manage Ads tab. You'll just have something that says Create Ads. So I'll show you from there, just so you know what it will look like. It would pop up with this. Well, you won't have this. It'll pop up with this. And to get to your ads dashboard, you'd click Close. And then you will have your ads dashboard. So if you've run ads before, you'll have a list of a bunch of different ads in here. Click over on the top left. I call this a little hamburger. You'll probably hear me say that multiple times. The hamburger icon. So audiences is something I frequently use, so you can see it's in here, but otherwise you would go to hover over all tools. All the way over on the right is audiences. If you've never created an audience before, your page will look a little bit different than this because it will just have these three options. It'll prompt you to create a custom audience, a lookalike audience, or a saved audience. We are going to create a custom audience. So we'll click on Customer File, and then add customers from your own file, and then upload a file. So this is where we will upload that file we just created, the CSV file. And then we're going to make sure we name this. So name it database, and then add in the date that you've created it. So you want to make sure that you are updating this. I say at least every 6 months because your database is changing. That's why I add this date to make sure I know when I last updated it. You could add a further description if you want, but I find that the audience name has enough information for me. Click on Next. So here's where you need to map your identifier. So Facebook is taking this information and trying to match it to people's Facebook profiles so it knows who to advertise to. But you need to tell it which identifiers to use. So you see here, it should be pretty easy to do. First name, you just match up with first name. Last name, match it up with last name. So just make sure that you have this little identifier at in the top of your spreadsheet. And if you're exporting this from a database of some sort, then it should be there automatically. And if not, then you kind of just need to decipher what people's first names and last names are, but usually that's pretty easy to do. Phone number, if it knows, it will capture it automatically. So phone number and email address. If there's some sort of identifier that you can't match, you can see all the different options here. But maybe you have something like move-in date would be something you might have in a CRM. You would just say do not upload because Facebook has no idea what that identifier is. Now all you have to do is click upload and create. That'll take a moment to upload. Bada bing, bada boom. So I have 20 rows, and I did that on purpose because the smallest size that you can create an audience for is 20 people. So likely you have more than 20, but that is a very, very minimum, just so you know. So you click on done, and you see here that it is updating audience. So I find it takes about a half an hour for this to update and populate that information. So just keep that in mind. If you are creating an ad, you will need to wait a little bit of time before you launch your ad, but you can always get your ad ready to go and keep it in draft mode before you launch it. So while we are talking about creating custom audiences, and before we get into creating a great ad for your database, I want to talk about something that is super freaking cool and seems to blow everyone's mind when I tell them, is how to advertise on Facebook to your LinkedIn clients. This is one of those super cool things that most people don't know about, so I'm going to show you real quick. So go to your LinkedIn account, assuming you have a LinkedIn account. This won't work if you don't have a LinkedIn account because you won't have any contacts, obviously. So click on My Network and Your Connections. And then over here, hiding in the corner, this Manage Synced and Imported Contacts. And ignore everything except for the Export Contacts button. Now, it is already downloaded mine because I did this already. But if you hadn't done this, you would click on this Pick and Choose and just click on Connections. Then click Download. And it takes about 10 minutes to do. LinkedIn will send you an email when you've downloaded it. And I believe it sends you your downloaded file as well. So once you've got that file, you can head back over to Facebook. Yeah, so here's my file. I've downloaded it from LinkedIn. It's in my downloads file. So I'm going to go back to Facebook. And you go through the same process. So you just go to create a customer file, upload, and then we'll upload this. It just calls it connections. And I'm going to name it LinkedIn. And the same thing with today's date. I'm not actually sure if this is the date, but who knows? Next. Same thing. So this time you'll notice that it didn't map quite as many identifiers. All it caught was the email address. So we're just going to have to add this all in. First name. See, it also added this first name and last name, so it's pretty easy to figure out which is which. So because it's LinkedIn, you've also got company. Company is not an option. So all of these things aren't options, which is totally fine. So it's got the three, and these are the three main ones that you're going to want, is the first name, last name, and email address. Usually it can make connections based on those three. So upload and create. There we go. So this one has a lot more rows. Click done. And now both of these are updating and creating their audiences. Super, super cool stuff. Now let's actually create our ad for our database. So click on your hamburger. Again, my ads manager is frequently used. Yours probably is too, but you can go to all tools and find it over here. Gonna get rid of some of these while we're waiting. And this is your, what's the word I'm looking for? No. Anyways, your dashboard. That's the word I'm looking for. This is your ads dashboard. Let's click on create. Blah, 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 blah. Words. So here is the first page. You will choose your marketing objective. And we are going to go with video views for this one. We will name it. This is the naming structure I like to use. I use my objective first, video views. And then I will name whatever it is that I'm promoting. So this will just be a monthly update to my database. So I'll just call it monthly update and then today's date. And you'll notice here, if you have never created an ad account before, you never run an ad on your page, then it'll say create ad account. If not, then it'll just ask you to proceed. So click the button to create your ad account. It'll just ask you some quick questions. You can click OK. And then later on, it'll ask you for billing information. So you'll want to name your ad set as well as your ad. For consistency, I'll still call them video views. And then in audience, you just click in here and you see it will populate those audiences. So you want the one that is most frequent or the most recent. And then all of these other detailed targeting things, you're going to leave these just as is. So you don't want to mess with anything because you already have that list and you want to make sure all those people are seeing your ad. The only reason you would mess with all of these is if you were trying to reach new people, if you were trying to do any sort of lead generation or creating that listing or bus bench ad that we will talk about later on. Later on in the full course, that is. So next you will see placements. So I tend to go with automatic placements for most of my ads. The reason I do that is because Facebook wants your ads to be successful. If your ads are successful, you will spend more money on Facebook. So if Facebook is recommending something, I usually go with what they recommend. However, in this case, I am going to edit the placements because there are some limitations with videos. For instance, the in-stream videos have a time limit, and I know that the video that I've created is past that time limit. And same with Instagram. I very rarely will advertise to Instagram in the same ad as my Facebook ad. I just find that things that convert well on Instagram are very different than how they convert on Facebook, so I like to target my ads directly to Facebook. Especially with directly to Instagram, especially with stories, because you can see even here the size difference. It's this big full screen version versus something small. So I usually have very custom images and custom headlines for a stories or for an Instagram ad versus a Facebook ad. Although if you are using a Facebook ad that has some really great photos, then you could use it in Instagram as well. And all of that will be the same. So for my budget, as a rule of thumb, I like to use a budget of $1 per day per 1,000 people. Now, your database is going to be smaller than that, most likely. So in that case, I would just use a lifetime budget. And this can kind of be whatever you're comfortable spending over a period of time. But that period of time, my suggestion would be to run your database ad for no more than 2 weeks, 1 month at a time. So that means every month you are creating a new ad and you're only showing that ad for about 2 weeks at a time. And the reason for this is I don't like to overwhelm my audience with seeing my face over and over and over again. And I also don't want them to see the same ad over and over again. So I'd rather be sending them something that is really relevant and different and something that catches their eye so they're not getting quote unquote ad fatigue, seeing the same thing over and over again. So I say 2 weeks, and you can give it a lifetime budget. So $50 is a great example. Now, it does note here as well, you will spend up to $50. So it doesn't mean that you will spend $50 necessarily. You're just telling Facebook that you are willing to spend that much. Now, that might not be the case. There are a lot of factors when your ads are being shown to people. For instance, some of your contacts may not be on Facebook over those 2 weeks. Maybe you're advertising over the holiday and there's less people online. Or maybe there's quite a lot of ad competition over these few weeks. Or maybe for whatever reason, your ads are not being shown because they have a low relevance score, meaning they are not something that your audience is particularly interested in seeing. And we will talk about how to create a very compelling ad so that hopefully that won't be the case. But there are a lot of factors that go into how much you are going to spend. So this is a guideline. You will never go over this, but you might not hit this target. So I would always start off with, I say usually $5 a day as a starting place, but if you know you're only going to be advertising for 2 weeks, you could start off with $50 and then see how well this is working for you. And we'll talk about those metrics after we go through creating the ad so you know what to look for. Everything else, I'd keep the same. You want to have this on 10-second video views as opposed to 2-second video views. And those 2-second people probably aren't particularly interested, so I'd rather have people watch my video a little bit longer. Now, your ads by default will be on set to run all the time. And for video views, I'm a big fan of that. The only reason I would put these on a schedule would be if you are doing a lead generating ad and you need to be getting back to people really quickly. So if they are converting on your lead form at 2 o'clock in the morning, you probably can't get back to them. So in that case, put it on a schedule all other times, run them all the time. Click continue. Oh, one other thing to note, let's just go back real quick. You see on the side here, we've got our audience size, and it is saying it's unavailable. That is because our audience has not yet populated. So this would eventually give you a number. So again, let's update our ad name. This can often be really easy to miss, by the way. So just a note, you want to try to update that. It's not going to affect your ad at all, but I just find it makes it a lot easier for your organization to have this consistent naming structure. So 2 options here. We've got create ad or use existing post. So let's look at use an existing post, and then we'll head back to create an ad. So you could use a post that your page has already created. Let's use this as an example. So you see here, it's telling us that videos can't be 60 seconds or more on Instagram. So let's go back and just get rid of Instagram for now. I was going to do that. There we go. And now it doesn't give me that little warning symbol. So the best part about using a post as opposed to creating a whole new video would be that it will remember all of your likes and your comments and the number of video views. So it's very similar in a way to boosting a post. However, I'm going to give you a caveat here because I am not a strong fan of boosting posts, and here is why. When you boost a post, you are essentially creating an ad campaign that is optimized for reach. Now, what that means is Facebook is just trying to get as many eyeballs on your post as possible. So they're not optimizing it for people who are taking the objective you want them to take. So that objective is whatever action you want people to take when they click your ad. And Facebook can tell what people will respond best to which actions. So, for instance, if you are wanting to have people watch your video, Facebook will try to get your ad out to people who are most likely to interact with video, meaning they've already interacted with video before. They tend to watch a lot of video, they tend to like and comment and share videos. So, if you have a video you want to get seen, you always want to optimize it for video views. If you have a listing you want to be seen or a blog post that you want to be seen, you would use the ad objective traffic because you want as many people to click on your post as possible, not just see your post. So you would use that traffic campaign. Reach is only if you want the most number of people to see you as possible. There are some rare occasions where I might use that, but for the most part, I'm always using a different ad campaign because I have a really specific reason why I'm creating the ad, and I want people to interact with it in that way and targeted a specific way. So anyways, don't boost your posts. Come on over to here and do it right. So here, you don't have to do anything else to this. The only thing that you would do is add in video captions. So I have already added in my video captions. And I've done this with a company called Rev.com. You can see here, they will caption your videos for $1 a minute, which is pretty cheap. I will always do this versus trying to create captions on my own. You can create an account, send them your video, and they do this. Usually it's within a couple of hours. I'll show you another option real quick in here when we go to create an ad. So if you were just creating an ad off of a post, it's literally this easy. All you do is click confirm. But if you wanted to create your own ad, let's go with video. You could also create a slideshow. That's if you don't have a video, but you have 10 images or up to 10 images, you could create a slideshow. It's just like a looping video ad. I find these seem to work really well lately. I've had good luck with those. So let's just add a video, or we'll browse a library, see what we've got already. Okay, I made this video. This is my silly example video. So you've got this lovely thumbnail here. So this is what it would look like if you were uploading a video directly. So you want to choose yourself a thumbnail that doesn't look so ridiculous. Great look. Good look, Stephanie. Although I have found that some of those weird looking ones where your face is kind of like contorted actually tend to perform better because people are very interested to see what your video is about. So you just sort of have to be okay with being vulnerable and looking like a fool and accepting that those videos will convert higher. So let's try this one. So you see here video captions, and this is recommended because then people can actually see what your video is about, even if their sound is off. I'll tell you another story as well. I was working for a client who has deaf clients, and I always made sure that I was captioning their videos, and his clients reached out to him saying how much he appreciated the fact that our videos always included captions so that they could understand and keep up with the market as well. So I thought that was really sweet, and ever since then I've never ever forgotten to add captions to my videos, so make sure you're doing that. So this is where you could upload your own if you were using a company like Rev.com. Or you could get Facebook to generate them automatically. Now, one issue with this, if your videos are super fast, like under 30 seconds, you might use this. You can see here there's a lot of editing, and it's just not that great, especially if you have an accent. If you have an accent, it's kind of fun just to put this in here and see how badly it messes up what you're saying, because it'll make some weird mistakes. So you can try this if you want to save yourself $1, but for the most part, I've never had an issue with Rev.com, so I just tend to use them and pay the $1 and make it work from the beginning. Okay, let's talk about the text and what tends to convert best. So for a database ad, you always want to address your audience directly. So if you could watch this video, in this video, I'm saying specifically, like, hello, students of Facebook for Real Estate. Thanks for dropping by. I wanted to give you a quick example of how to create a video for your database. And it's really raw and it's directed at the audience, which is super important. You want to make them feel like you created this especially for them, because you did create it especially for them. So address your audience right from the beginning and make these super personal. A video like this, if say this is your market update video and you are sending this out to a database that lives in a particular zip code, make it really, really personal and targeted to them. Say, hey everybody, all my amazing clients who live in Marpool, it's me, your realtor, Stephanie Arnold. I wanted to tell you a little bit about some of the things that are going on in Marpool right now. I know you hear a lot about Vancouver real estate on the news, but you might not know what's happening in your neighborhood specifically. So I wanted to make this video and tell you about what sold recently and what my predictions are for the spring market. Now that's a video that people are going to be watching and engaged with because it's targeted so specifically to them. So that's what I want you to say in the video. And then in terms of the text that you add here, it should be pretty similar. I want you to start with that same headline. So make it something like, say we're talking to our clients in Marpool. Hey, Marpool homeowners. It's your friendly neighborhood realtor here. Oh, you probably want to use the correct form of realtor. I'll use real estate agent just so nobody sues me. It's your friendly neighborhood real estate agent here. And I wanted to let you know what was happening in the Marpool real estate market this spring. Now, a couple of things that I have noticed when it comes to text. I've tested out with the short amount of text versus a long amount of text. And this is something you can split test. If you take my Facebook ads course, or if you're already taking my ads course, we will talk about split testing a little bit later on. And that's basically to decipher which kind of ads work better than others. So if you want to test maybe the difference between long form versus short form, meaning just a couple of sentences like this versus having a whole bunch of content, you can do that when you start working on split testing. But just for what I found personally, that long form copy for your database tends to work really well. And the reason for that is that they are already pretty engaged with you, and they're just interested in hearing what you have to say. I'll give you a quick example of a long form post that I've written that performed exceptionally well. So here, this is an example from the first module of the Facebook for Real Estate course. And this is also one I did for the Keith Roy team. So this is quite a long story about what happens in a team meeting. And you can see here that it got some pretty good engagement. We've got 46, 47, 48, 49 people and a couple of comments. And this is on a really small list. So that's a pretty impressive number right away. And this is pretty long. Like, this is a lot longer than you would expect a post to be, but a lot of people were commenting on this saying that they just really liked this story. Now, a few things about this post that work so well. It's not just that it's long. It's not just that it's a story, although that is a lot to do with it. If you look at this, the headline stands out right away. They say never to trust someone who tells you to trust them, so what's an honest realtor to do? So it starts off with a compelling headline, and then it tells you what you're going to talk about. I'm going to tell you a story. The next thing in here is that there are consistent line breaks. This is a really easy thing to read, even though there's quite a lot of text in there. So it's totally okay to add in a whole bunch of text as long as you add these line breaks, spaces, and you break it up with things like bullet points or emojis. Now, I know that emojis might not be your favorite thing. However, they work really well in Facebook ads because they're eye-catching and they break up your content. So let's go back to our ad here. Now, as much as I love long copy, when I am creating a video ad, I would probably keep it no more than about this long, maybe longer. And that's because I want people to watch the video. So I want to just add in a really compelling headline and then some information like this. And then I may add in some emojis so that this is a little more compelling. Because you're doing this on the computer, I always use a site called Emojipedia. And there's certain things that I search more than others. This backwards hand index pointing down finger is one that I use a lot. So you just copy it and then paste it down here. It's just pointing down to the video. You can also do something like a little house. And I know that this might seem so ridiculous to you, but it works. It's something that catches people's attention, and creating Facebook ads is all about capturing attention. People are scrolling through Facebook, and you want them to stop and pay attention to your content. So you just do whatever you can do to get them to look at you. So here is where you see your ad preview. This is what it would look like on a mobile news feed. You can see what it looks like on desktop. You have a bunch of other options in here. Now, if you want to test this out, you can click on this little button and you can send a notification to Facebook on your device. So on your phone or your iPad, you can click over there and then you can see, there you go, it's been sent over to my account. So then when I open up my phone, I can see what this looks like on my phone. All right, that is all for creating your ad. So this is a video ad for your database. Let's just check our handy dandy notes. We got our budget, our schedule, tips for ads that convert. I showed you that one example. I'm going to show you another example before we go. Now, I'm not going to run this ad, but if you were to run the ad, you just click confirm. Facebook would wait to review your ad, and that usually takes about 15 minutes to do so. They'll send you an email once it is approved. The only thing you need to note, especially if you've never run an ad before, you might have a little pop-up here that asks you to certify with housing compliance. So in that case, you would just click OK and certify it just to make sure your ad runs smoothly. Now, you can close out of this. And if you want to save, make sure you hit close and save to draft. Saving. So I'm going to show you another example of a database ad that's worked really well for me. Okay, here's one more example. This is also a video views one. And this is a team out east, and this is a video market update, and they were delivering this to their audience as well. Now, you see there's only one like, but the purpose for this was not likes, the purpose was video views. And if you look at the ad itself, we saw they only spent $25 on this, and they got 870 views, and that cost was at $3 cents per 10-second view, which is really, really fantastic. Now, this is one that they ran on their own, and so you see it just ended. So I'm going to reach out to them and suggest that they bump their budget up, because this is obviously one that people were interested in. You can see that once we go back to their campaign, that this is like the cheapest that they have one that was slightly less, but 3 cents per 10-second video view is really good. So I would suggest that they add a little bit more to their budget. So you see here they're hitting their budget. So if you are hitting your budget consistently, that tends to be a sign that you need to increase your budget. If you're always a little bit below your budget, meaning Facebook can't quite get enough people to your ad based on your budget, then you can keep your budget where it is. But as kind of a rule of thumb, if you're always hitting your ad budget, then if you increase it a little bit, you could increase your views quite substantially, potentially, and still keep that really, really low cost per result. So here is my last little bonus tip for you, and that is to invite people who have liked your ad or your post to like your page. Now, to do this, we'll navigate over to your page. Let's find a page here. Let's use this one. And we'll go to Publishing Tools. And to Posts. We'll click on one of these posts. So then you're going to click on this group of people who've liked it. And you can see if they've already liked your page, they will have something there that says liked. If they haven't, then you can click on invite to like. This is a great way to get a lot more page likes. I'll show you how to do that for an ad that you're running that might not be a post. So once your ad is running, you'll navigate over to your ad and click on edit. Go to the ad, so you'll see campaign, ad set, and then there'll be ads. So I'm clicking on the ad. And then find that little button. And you see now that the ad is running, we have more than just that send notification to Facebook. We've got a whole bunch of stuff on here. So if you wanted to, say, send a link to an ad to your client, you could click that here. Or you could click, I'm going to get you to click Facebook post with comments. So click on that and it'll open up the post itself. And then you can click on those likes. You can see there's just one of these people who haven't liked the page, but you can now invite them to do so. I will note that you get comments on your ads. Make sure that you are responding to people's comments right away, especially if they are negative comments. You probably won't be getting negative comments for your database ad, but especially in Vancouver, because of the price of houses is so high, we tend to get some negative comments on our ads. So just be aware of those. So let's click on that. So we have done everything. Let's go over to a couple of the key takeaways for advertising to your database on Facebook. So a couple of the frequently asked questions that I get are, does creating an ad create a post on your page? No, it does not. So when you create an ad, that is not something that is publicly available on your page. So that's not something that immediately your followers will see. There is an option, if you know where to find it, to find someone's ads on their page. Actually, you know what? I'd like to see what other agents in my marketplace are doing for ads. So I'll just show you. Yeah, here's a Facebook page. If you go to ads, you can see the ads that they're running. Very few people know about this. I use this to kind of be sneaky and to see what my competition is doing. I'm always really surprised at how few realtors are running ads. One of my favorite games to play is I'm kind of obsessed with real estate. So one of my favorite games to play is to wander around and look at actual bus benches, try to calculate how much money people are spending on things like bus bench and garbage can ads, and then I look them up on Facebook and see if they're running any ads on Facebook, and almost none of them are. It's so crazy to me because they are willing to spend tens of thousands of dollars to put their face on a bus bench, and they're not willing to spend $20 to put their face on Facebook, where just as many, if not more, people are going to see them. I don't think there's anything wrong with advertising in print or on a bus bench, but I do think that your Facebook ad budget can go such a long way, and you might as well put the money towards it. And as of right now, there's still pretty little competition. Like, there are agents that are doing this, but not nearly to the level that there should be. So that's my little rant. Let's go back to our takeaways. So yes, creating an ad does not create a post. The second thing people ask is, if I create a custom audience, do those people become my friends, or does that add them as fans of your page? No, it does not. All it is creating a list of people that you can advertise to. And no one can see your custom audience list but you. yes, this is compliable with compliable. I think that's the word I'm looking for. It complies with all of the policies and privacy laws. So a lot of people will ask me, I don't know, I feel like I'm not allowed to do this. You can go ahead and do the research yourself. This isn't stealing anybody's data. This is data that they have out there that they've given to Facebook, and all you are doing is connecting the information you have to information that is out there. And you're not spamming these people like we talked about. You're giving them information and providing them with insight, and everyone always has an opportunity to hide or request that they don't see ads in the future. So, really not something to worry about, especially if you already know these people and they like you. So the other takeaway, now we're getting into some of the tactical stuff. Make sure you're running that ad, I would say for a maximum of 2 weeks, a month, and then updating the ad creative monthly to make sure that it's totally up to date and that they're not getting tired of seeing the same stuff all the time. Um, I mentioned before, update your audience file every 6 months. You could do it more frequently, but I find 6 months is a good little reminder for myself because that file will change. Um, Number 7, to address your audience directly. We talked about that in the video, so you want to make sure that you are mentioning your audience. So this is something that you've created specifically for this audience. You want to make them feel special, like you went out of your way to create something just for them because you did. So address them directly, and then they know that that's a piece of content that they should be paying attention to. Number 8, tell a story. Stories work so well. They're captivating. Stories are sticky. People remember them. So, whenever possible, add stories to your videos or to your text. It'll be a lot more interesting and people will engage more with stories. Number 9, before using custom audiences, begin tracking your business. So, if you're taking my Facebook ads for real estate course, I talk about this in the first module about the importance of tracking your business. Now, I say this because it's really challenging to see if your database ads are working. Usually, those people are not calling you up saying, I'm calling you because I saw your ad on Facebook. They may say something like, oh, these days it just seems like you're everywhere. Or, I see your face all over town. And they don't really realize that it's just that they're seeing your face a lot more on Facebook. Um, but the reason I say to track your business is if you know how much business you're getting from your database, from repeat and referral business, then once you start adding this database advertising, you can start to see after a while if you're increasing your business in that category. So maybe you're consistently running ads to your database over the course of a year and you don't see any difference in your numbers, well, maybe it's time to cut back on your ad spend. Or maybe if you are starting to see a little bit more uptake, maybe you could increase your ad spend. And if it's not working, then it might be a budget reason, or maybe you could increase the level of your content or increase your consistency. But you can't know any of that if you're not measuring it. So make sure you know how much business you have, and at the very least, you know where your business is coming from. And number 10, invite people who like your ad or your post to like your page. This is a really quick and easy way to get more page likes, so you might as well be doing it. So that is everything on how to create an ad to your database, the most effective way that you can use Facebook, in this humble marketer's opinion.